Hi all, it's Karen from Karen Test Stuff. I've got a brand new video today all about one of my favorite conferences that I recently attended in Germany, Agile Testing Days 2023. And I've got a few friends here with me today. I am really excited to share this presentation because I call it a conference. Some people have called it a festival. Let's talk about it. I'm joined by a panel of experts here today, great friends and awesome people from the community. So let's go ahead and meet them. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
So today I have with me some very special people. My friend Nadja first is
Hello.
up above me here on my screen. I know what they see is a little different from what I see. But Nadja, I brought here today to share her perspective as a volunteer and as a first-time attendee of Agile Testing Days.
Yes. Happy to be here.
Yay, so happy to have you. And then I'll just go around my screen to, Patrick over here, up in my adjacent corner. Patrick here is going to be speaking from the perspective of a sponsor. I don't know why I said that weird. Going to be speaking from this perspective of a sponsor and also as a speaker, workshop presenter, I believe, unless I misspoke there.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wonderful. It's lovely to have you.
Thanks for having me.
And then Richard is here from the perspective of a fellow speaker and a first-time attendee as well, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. So great to have all of you here. I can't wait to hear from your perspective. All right. So first, I would like to hear from each of you, what is ATD, or what was your experience in one sentence or two? Let's start with Nadja. Can I start with you first since I introduced you first?
Is this even real?
I love it.
I thought about this sentence quite a lot, but yeah, I didn't know how to cope with all the new feelings and people and awesomeness that I met there.
It really is incredible. What about you, Patrick?
For us, it's coming home. We've been there for like 6 years, 7 years, I think. And we feel right at home in the atmosphere in Unicorn Land. Always coming back from Utopia, sort of. But no, it feels like a second home for us as a company.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I should have mentioned the name of the company that actually sponsored. Would you like to introduce them in a
We're working
sentence
for
or
the
two?
Agile Testers, but people will know that because we are always there having fun. No, Dutch and Belgian company from the Netherlands.
Great. I'll be sure to mention y'all in the comments in the description as well.
No
And
worries.
Rich, how about you?
Yeah, I think if I was to sum it up, it's wow, learning can actually be fun. Because I was always a little bit worried about conferences. It's going to be a bit dull. Will it be my thing? But Agile Testing Days was definitely a crazy, fun whirlwind of an experience. And there was never a dull moment, which I think is really quite rare on any sort of event like that. So it's good.
Absolutely. I would agree with all of those. Even the coming home part, because I had attended ATD USA a few years, and first as a volunteer like Nadja, and then as a speaker this year. And it was the same lovely family feeling of people that, honestly, genuinely care about your personal and career growth. It's so awesome. So let's jump into the actual experience here. So, first, starting off, when we were getting ready for Agile Testing Days, I know each of us kind of had our own concerns, our own preparation style. I personally have a lot of travel anxiety when it comes to these kinds of things. But the most interesting note that I found on our board was about brewing. Patrick, can you tell us a little bit about your process leading up to Agile Testing Days?
Yeah, that's a long process. It starts somewhere in January, February of this year, where we we're starting to celebrate our 7.5-year anniversary that we exist as the Agile Testers. And of course, we wanted to do something special. We had a Jubilee party planned for ourselves in May, and thought, hey, how cool would it be if we have our own unicorn beer going forward to our own Jubilee, but also the ATD Open Air, and in the end, the end of year ATD Potsdam. So we found a Belgian brewer where we could create our own unique beer recipe, and brewed 550 liters of beer, 70 plus crates that we got delivered to my home downstairs in the basement. It's now gone, so no worries. You can't get anything anymore. We finished
There's
it.
one bottle left in my fridge.
Still?
Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah. Called Unicorn Blonde. So we tried it out in our Jubilee. Took, I think, 15 or 20 crates to the open air, and then the rest of 35 we took to Potsdam.
And it was well loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, wow, Rich, I know all of the prep that goes into conference speaking in general, but specifically, what made you choose to submit your paper to Agile Testing Days to be a speaker here?
Yeah, I'd been to a UK conference twice, and just loved the atmosphere, loved the idea of the shared learning experience that was happening, and I'd had an idea. Well, at that conference, I'd gone to one of the workshops looking for some answers on reporting and how to get like a better idea on what could be reported, and all I came away with was a sense that a whole lot of people in this room didn't really understand what was needed or where to direct their knowledge. So I was kind of like, okay, I feel like I need to learn and dig into this. So I started digging. Before you know it, this idea for a talk or a workshop or something came about. And I was kind of looking around thinking, well, where do I go first with this? And actually, it was yourself I think you've been to Agile Testing Days USA, and was just like, that was amazing. So I was like, okay, let's have a look. And I'm thinking USA is a little bit far maybe for my first one. There happened to be one, like you said, there's the open air, which I'd missed the call for paper for. Otherwise, I could have done it by a beach. And Agile Testing Days Germany, and asked around, and everyone said it was quite possibly the best conference to start at, and very friendly crowd. So yeah, that made me thought, why not go for it? Take the plunge and kind of apply for a European conference rather than my local one.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I'm so glad you did, because it was wonderful to get to meet you in person for the first time and get to learn from all of you lovely people that were there.
Definitely. It's so weird to think that I'd known you for a year before we actually met in person. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
The internet's a beautiful place sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
And then, Nadja, I know you had a lot of prep that went into going into this conference. Even though you're, from the same general region, it still was a lot to get ready for. What was the most exciting part of your preparation?
The most exciting, but I was excited all the time.
Me too. I loved when I was sending you my costume ideas for the parties and for the ball gown breakfast and all those bonus events.
I put my outfit together like last minute before I left for Potsdam on the same day. I just grabbed stuff out of my wardrobe and my boyfriend's wardrobe and put it together. So that was pretty exciting, because I didn't know if it's gonna go together in the end, if it's gonna look good, or if it's gonna do the thing that I want to do. But I think it did go pretty well.
Worked really well.
I think you had one of the more authentic get-ups.
Probably, yeah. It was pretty authentic because it was all real.
Well, speaking of the party get-ups, let me get back over here. So during the actual conference, this is why I struggle to call it a conference, because yes, it's a learning environment. It's a wonderful place where these incredible people share their knowledge that they've gained over time and experience. But there's so much more to it. There's the atmosphere, there's the quote unquote hallway tracks where you just meet and talk with people and share ideas. But there's also an element of play to this conference with the parties and the walks every day at lunchtime in the open air and all of these different bonus sessions. What was the most interesting, unexpected thing that happened maybe with your experience, Rich?
I wasn't expecting to attend a testing themed musical, for sure. And more importantly, having spoken to the people who were doing it beforehand, Lena, I definitely wasn't expecting when you said, I can sing, to actually turn out to be so amazing as it was as well. So I was expecting some sort of like cheap karaoke type thing. And then it's like, whoa, they've got a full-blown production with props and everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they even took lessons, right?
he's
They,
he,
they had, like,
he's referencing for context the keynote "Don't Go Breaking My Code," which was incredible. I agree, but please
yes.
continue.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that, like I say, it's you go to a keynote, you expect a little bit of information, some inspiration, and they put it across in such an amazing form, which just had everybody holding phones up at one point with lights on. So they were just kind of, it was just, you just got transformed into something very memorable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And what I really liked as well is that there was still a good message. So it was a good
Yes.
talk,
Oh, yeah,
a good
exactly.
musical with still a nice message to be sent out.
Yeah.
To always find the communication and listen to each other's needs. So it was that it really stayed with me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and there was something special about Nadja, your experience with the conference, because I know I've been a volunteer at a couple of conferences before, so I had a little bit of reference into kind of what your job duties and things were. But people who don't have the context for that, could you let them know kind of how you helped support the conference and your experience meeting the other people who were volunteers?
So this was an awesome team. It was the greatest people you could meet at this conference. They were all so lovely and helpful, and um, also the organizers and everything around it. We had, first off, we had this awesome volunteer dinner at Sunday before everything started out. Met the first speakers as well there, and then on Monday we prepared everything. We had a room full of balloons for the party, preparing the party. One of us was sitting in the middle. It was Claire was sitting in the middle of all these balloons, and it was very fun. And then, yeah, I mean, basically, it was we were attending the conference and at the same time helping out people. But to be honest, it was like being an attendee was also like helping out a little bit at the side. But it was not really work. It was fun all along, all the time.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. I had much the same experience where there were only a few of us at Agile Testing Days USA where I volunteered, so we were quite busy, but it was still, I got to attend most of the sessions that I had bookmarked. I mean, just as many as I usually attend, because, you always have these big dreams about attending a session every time slot, and then you need a break.
But that's
Even
indeed.
when I even when I helped out for Robert's workshop, I could attend as well. So I was helping him, but at the same time I could like fully take on the workshop and take in all the knowledge. It was great.
What were you going to say, Patrick?
Well, I
Sorry.
think that's one of the things that they really do is that the balance of an organization. They make that really well, but also indeed the taking time for yourself between slots, like you said, the hallway discussions are sometimes
Yeah.
also very important to have that breathing space because it's a full packed program.
Yes.
But what I really like about the organization, and you mentioned the party and everything that happening, they create such an informal atmosphere for the whole conference that immediately takes all the pressure away, and yes, it's a lot of fun, but it opens up into really nice conversations, respectful, open. And I think they do that from moment one. It starts basically on Sunday with the volunteers, and then they do it with the speakers, and then the party on Tuesday night, and everybody knows, well, yeah, this is something else. So
I would agree with that. I actually did a shout out on social media to everyone that I met at the conference, that just said, my favorite part was that everyone asked consent. May I hug you? May I sit with you? Would you like to be alone? Would you like to talk about this? And it was just so refreshing to have people who, like I said, it's obviously that they care about each other and the well-being of the community and making sure that everyone's included. That's really special.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah. And best party, hands down, just to wrap that up, best party I've ever been to at a conference. That was incredible.
Yeah, it was the only party I've ever been to at a conference, but it was the best one.
Yeah, they always do rock that evening. It's the themed event. Everybody's in party mode. Yeah, it's just incredible indeed.
But as far as the learning and knowledge sharing side goes, I mean, it's not just a party. It's what you said. Patrick, it encourages open conversations with people and new voices to come through and be speakers to give these presentations that really make up the structure of the structured learning time. But I had so many favorite talks, even just from the handful that I was able to attend, because most of my experiences were talking with people outside in the hallway, because I wanted to take time to care for myself. And I knew that most of the sessions were going to be recorded so I could reference them later, which I have. But one of the few talks that I got to see in person, Nadja is wearing a special piece of clothing from this talk.
Yeah,
It was
stand up.
Yeah.
I have also to turn around because the backside is also important. Can you see it?
Yeah, really nice.
There is an imposter among us. I can't get into my tablet right now, and I don't want to take the time, but it was Linda Van Horn's talk about It's Not in Your Head, about imposter syndrome, or it is in your head.
It was I'm not the imposter, it's all in my head.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll link the abstract below of everything we talk about. I'll have information in the description. But that one in particular stuck to me because it's not as often that we see the human side of presentations. There are a lot of very technical presentations, but her heart and soul was so transparent in her struggles that she had experienced throughout her journey into tech, and exploring where these feelings come from. And it was so relatable, I think, for anyone on any level in any career setting. But that was one that just really made such an impact on me and has been rolling around in my head ever since. Do any of you have one like that?
Actually, this one I rewatched it with the virtual pass and can completely resonate. Yeah.
For me, it was basically a small talk from Boris Vrubel, who also is a friend of mine, but that was not the reason why I'm mentioning this one. He had a talk about adding your accessibility testing into your automation. And he showed us in 5 minutes that you could just add that very easily, at least in a Selenium framework. I have to do some investigation if it works for others as well, but it was just a library, and it helps to make your website or product more accessible. Something that we sometimes forget. So that stood by for me.
That's cool. The one I really enjoyed, which kind of resonated with exactly what I was doing at work. Like, when you go to a conference thinking maybe I'll learn something relevant, but it was kind of like exactly on point, was get a grip on your quality by using quality views by Sonia Nezik. And they'd been and seen another talk previously about this quality views, and had kind of summed it up into this really kind of eloquent and brilliant presentation explaining how you could model the different parts of your system, and you could take different bits as to how complex they were by putting like bigger boxes around them and then bigger arrows for the flows, and then you could put a heat map over it, and then you could start to see where parts of your system needed to have your focus. And for me, as a consultant, going into a new organization and trying to work out what parts of their systems need more testing to be focused on, and it was quite literally what I was, working on at that time. It was just like, wow, perfect. This is exactly what I need. So yeah, and I wouldn't have known to look for it. So it was just like absolute kismet that talk happened at the right time.
Wow, that's so incredible. Absolutely. And that actually takes us right into our next topic here, which is kind of wrapping things up. As far as once we have all of this knowledge and we've got all these notes and we've got these photos and these memories, how do we keep from losing that information? What do we do with it? Because that's the important part, right? Not just gaining it, but working with it. And so, what have you all kind of done to not only make sure you keep the knowledge, but are there any cool ways that you've been putting that knowledge into practice? I don't remember who I started with last time, so anybody jump in.
Go, Richard, go.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. Like I say, I work at a consultancy, so we've got lots of people working in lots of different places within Mandira, and so within different teams, what I'm trying to do is to put my own workshops together, and we have our own little learning platform. So what I've got set up for next year is I'm going to be doing a talk on the quality views, and I'm also going to be doing a talk on what was it, Michael Kutz and Christian Beaumont, who I know well. There's this how to untangle your spaghetti test code, and they came up with a great little thing with like a little pamphlet which you can have for your code tangles and solutions, and just having something tangible like this on your desk so that you can kind of use it. I've got it there right in front of me now because I use it and keep an eye on it every day. So I'm like, this has got to be taken back to work. I need to share it with the teams, and I need to make it so that people can learn in a kind of an easy way as well. So they did theirs on Java, which I think I can translate to work quite well. They got a little code repository. I asked them and was like, hey, you're okay if I can use that resource? And they're like, yeah, go for it. We'd love people to learn from this. So yeah, it was really, really nice. And that's what I'm saying. People are quite approachable to you, paraphrasing and remodeling their talks into something you can share as well, as long as you credit the original people. So that's exactly what it's about. So yeah, I think that's one of the great things about these conferences, is that you can take it back and then also show that value to the company, so that next year they're like, hey, you want to go to another one? Of course we'll pay for that. That's the best bit.
Yep, it's all about showing that like positive like building of skills is very important when coming back.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we go there as a company. We were there this year with 35 of our employees, or as a group. It's a team building, but it's indeed about sharing that knowledge and taking that home. We used it. We do a monthly meetup, and the meetup was at the end of November, and we spent an hour and a half sharing the experiences of all the talks that we've done, because not everyone goes to the same talks and workshops. So yeah, sharing that knowledge again, going into sometimes a little deeper discussions on why we didn't like it or why someone did like it and what we took from it. So for us, that it's also nice to do a debrief at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any way I can share my notes or my thoughts or do something like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give like a summary of all the AI and testing talks that we had there in our AI community of practice. We have this thing going like every 2 weeks where someone presents a project or something, and I already committed to do it, so I cannot step out of it again. Yeah, gonna rewatch all these awesome talks again and make notes, and then see what I can fit in 15 minutes, because I don't have more time. I don't get more time.
And I'll put all the details of how you can find out more about Agile Testing Days in the description as well. But if you, to wrap things out here, I have one last question that I didn't have here. So I don't have a slide. But if you were speaking to someone who has never been to Agile Testing Days, and they're interested in attending in some fashion the way that you attended this year, what would you say to encourage them to join us? I know, yeah, I generally tell people that this is the community of unicorns. Please come and experience the magic for yourself, kind of a thing. But
yeah, come and see for yourself.
And as we can show here, there's many ways to get into it.
Yes.
So, you can have a voice like myself and try to teach something, but then also learn while you're there as a benefit. You can persuade your company to try and get involved and sponsor something. Mm-hmm. And I know you get to tag along, or they get some deals that way. And as Nadja's done, you can volunteer if you've got no company willing to pay to attend. You've still got a way to get here. So there's so many different ways to attend. Why wouldn't you try to? That's what I always think.
True, and it's such a community where you find people passionate about our profession of agile testing. So no better place to go and learn more, get connected, and build your own community.
And I will say that hands down, genuinely the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah. These are my people. That's what I said when all this was over. I've met my people.
Yeah. There comes a blues with that on the end.
Oh yeah.
An ATD blues, but that's a small price to pay.
I have some tips over at X, is it now? To help against
Twitter.
It.
It's Twitter. Well, yeah. It's fine. Okay, y'all. Well, this has been amazing. I'm super glad that you gave up so much of your time to help prepare this and to be present for this conversation. I've had an amazing time with you all.
Same. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for organizing and getting us together.
You're welcome. So stay on the line with me after I wrap up. I will be right back with y'all.
All right.
In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. My channel is for anyone who's interested in software development, software testing, community, anything you can think of. So feel free to connect with me on social media at Karen Test Stuff. Bye, friends.